Hey nerds, coming back at you with some more Toddomation. All right, so if you're going through each of these items in this series or this playlist, this is a cool part. We've got our repo, we have our tools installed. Now we're actually going to start the code space. Now you might be thinking, well, hold on, what about our cEOS image? We don't have it anywhere. You're right, and there's a reason for that. We haven't put it in your repo because we're not going to be able to put it in the repo, the remote aspect of it, on actual GitHub. The file's too big. They're not going to let you do that. So what we have to do is we have to create the code space the very first time. Once the code space is running, it's going to error out, but we expect it to. In the way that I wrote the shell scripts, it's totally okay. Once the code space is up and it's operational, then we can take and we can transfer the cEOS image up so we can create Docker images out of it. This is what's expected. The only other way to do this is if you create a private repository, and it would have to be private because this is Arista's property. That cEOS image, you have to sign the agreements to be able to use it. So if you download it to your PC or your Mac and then you upload it to your code space, fine. That's your code space at that point. But we're not going to be able to put it on a public repo and just add it there because whoever uses it needs to agree to the terms of service and sign that agreement, just like you did when you downloaded it. So the next video is going to show you how to put it in the repo and then transfer it up. That's what we've been downloading all these tools for. So let's get started on actually creating the code space so we can do that. Come back over here. You should be at your repo, not mine. Okay. And at your repo now, we're going to click code right here. Now, we've only been working in this local. Remember in a previous video, we used the open with GitHub Desktop. We're not doing that anymore. We have a local repo. We don't need that anymore. We're actually going to go to this other tab. You see it right here. It's code spaces. So in code spaces, this is where we're going to create the code space, but we want to be very specific about it. Now, I've already provided the information inside the repo that says what the code space is supposed to be. So even if you have a free GitHub account, no extras, you'll have this code space version, which is the 4 CPU version. Just to let you know, the way that code spaces works is everybody gets a certain number of hours, and it's typically 120 free hours of code space. Now, the code space hours are based on the number of CPUs that you're using. So if you have a 4 CPU version, which is what this is, it goes all the way up to 32, but it would be each hour using 4 CPUs is then considered 4 hours. So if you used all of your hours and you haven't set any billing standards, they're not going to bill you. You wouldn't be able to use it after you used it for 120 hours. But obviously that would be not 120 hours. It would be 30 hours if you're using the 4 CPU version, but it gets you, free 30 hours of lab time. And you'd be shocked at how hard it is to use that much lab time unless you're just leaving it run. But guess what? It's not going to allow you to just let it run. So let's build the code space and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. So we hit the down arrow next to code, right? We click on code spaces. We want to hit the 3 dots over here. We want to provide the configuration. We want to tell it how we want to do it. So we're going to do a new with options. That's immediately going to open it up when we see that we're in branch main. That's fine. But the dev container configuration. Now, I've already wrote this first dev container for you. You hit the down arrow here and it'll say basic lab. The basic lab is then going to configure the rest of the code spaces for you. As you see the machine type resource for your code space, it already provided it. It's the 4-core version. And that's why we actually did it. We want to select the basic lab. That's why we did the options. So now we're going to click create code space. Pretty cool. It's going to start running it. To see the code space run, when it says setting up remote connection, just click on this building code space and it's going to show you the log file of everything that's happening. And this is it literally building the code space for you based on the .dev container JSON file that I already wrote. So it's going to create this one for you. In later videos, I'll show you how you can make changes and adjust your topology. But let's just get this one going so you can see what's happening. I'm going to let this run. It takes a couple of minutes for it actually to come up. So I'm just going to go ahead and pause the video for right now. And I'll be back up once it actually finishes running this piece of it. Okay, so most of it's running now. We can see that the container lab right there at the end, if you saw it, it popped up. Now we see it says running post create command. So this is a bash script that I already wrote for you. You don't have to edit it for this lab. For other labs, you'll have to edit these files, but I'm going to show you how to do that in a different video. Anyway, it's running this bash script, the post create command. So post create is after it's created the Docker and it's created the environment, hadn't created the Docker, but after it's created the environment, it's going to start creating the container labs. And it would also, if we had the EOS image up there, it would actually create the Docker images from the EOS files, but they're not up there yet. Okay. As you can see, now it says finished configuring Codespace. Now it's not ready because we didn't actually have the EOS image up there. And you can see right here, okay? It says current cEOS image, repository tag, image ID. It's not there. And I used the one I recommended, the 4.30, the one that we downloaded. And because it's not there, it's skipping the deploy. Now, it did download Container Lab. It did upgrade the Container Lab to make sure that it has the most recent version. And then it's got the source information. Okay, so everything has been created. Now, notice it looks like VS Code in here, and that's because I added a VS Code extension for you to be able to see what's going on. And this looks just like your actual VS Code. When we pull the VS Code up there and we look at the files, look, they're basically the same. Now, the only part that we're looking at, we're not looking at this basic lab piece here. It's actually, that would be this. But when we look at it side by side, look, it's exactly the same because we've got a VS Code plugin. If you're wondering how that works, well, Microsoft actually owns GitHub. So Microsoft owns VS Code. So it was pretty easy for them to write a VS Code extension for GitHub. So at this point, your lab's running. Well, your Codespace is running. The lab is not running yet. We see no lab over here yet. Okay. That's because we still have to get that EOS image up there. So now we're going to leave it like it is, okay? And in the next video, hopefully you go right to it because the Container Lab only runs for a certain amount of time. If you don't use it, it shuts itself down. One, that makes sure, you don't get billed for it or you don't get charged for the time, even though you're not getting billed if you have the free account. But they're not using their resources because you just let it run. But it'll sit here and go for 5, 10, 15 minutes without a problem. So next video, we're going to show you how to get your cEOS image up into your Codespace, and then we can create a Docker image from it. But we have shell scripts that are going to do all this for us. So that's it for now. Your Container Lab's running. We're really close to having our own lab. So next video, you'll have your own lab that you'll be able to run. So if you're enjoying the series, like, subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And we'll talk to y'all in the next video. Bye.